Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson's training camp dominance continues, and the Jets might have something here. Hey, what's going on? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today we're talking about Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore and how they continue to dominate in training camp. Before we get started today, I just wanted to mention where you can follow me. Social media, Matt O'Leary NY, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, pretty much wherever you find social media, you can follow me and get my content there. You could also subscribe and get the Just Jets podcast right here on YouTube. You can get it on Spotify, Apple, pretty much anywhere. Once again, and also please make sure to check out bonus content over on Patreon. So things that you just love to see is Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore dominating at training camp. We'll start with Elijah Moore, then get into Garrett Wilson. But with Elijah, obviously both of these guys are young players, but Elijah Moore is heading into his second year. Garrett Wilson's a rookie, so the expectation's a little bit different. Elijah Moore was injured a little bit last year, so he didn't put up like these gaudy numbers, but there was a stretch of games last year when he got in his groove where he was on a incredible pace, well over 1,000 yards. He was putting up touchdowns just about every single week. And most people, myself included, thought that, okay, the Jets have something here in Elijah Moore, and you're probably going to see him take that next step in 2022. Obviously was hoping that Zach Wilson was going to help him take that next step. And right now it's going to be Joe Flacco, but eventually Zach Wilson will begin to help him take that next step too. But in training camp so far, we're just seeing the dynamic ability of him, whether it be like the cut that you saw yesterday at training camp where he juked that poor safety out of his pants, or just his route running ability is really, really impressive. And I just, that to me is what sets him apart, I think, from the rest, is his route running ability and just how dangerous he can be with the ball in his hands. He reminds me a little bit of a young Odell Beckham. And obviously Odell put up massive, massive, massive numbers. And I'm not saying that Elijah Moore is necessarily going to put up those numbers, but the skill set that he has with the ball in his hands and, you know, his dynamic game-changing ability is more so the comparison to Odell that I wanted to bring up. Again, it's not necessarily saying that he's going to put up, you know, again, it was historic numbers with the Giants early in his career. He was on this incredible pace, and well, he's certainly less annoying off the field than Odell Beckham, which is a major, major win. And gotta love, like, for instance, Richie at training camp yesterday, getting his stuff signed by him. And like, he just seems like such a genuinely nice human being. And I don't know, it's fun to root for guys like that. And I think he's in for a big year this year. If you saw my prediction series, you saw who I had leading the team in receiving yards, and it's Elijah Moore. If anyone has a chance to go over 1,000 receiving yards this year, I think he has the best opportunity to do so. And not that Garrett Wilson can't. We're going to, again, more on him in a second here with Garrett Wilson. But, I mean, with Elijah, it's just about taking that game to the next level. We saw the flashes as a rookie, and we've continued to see him look good in training camp. All training camp long, it's been Elijah. So I think he's going to be a good one. And with Garrett Wilson, it's still crazy to me that he feels like he's the forgotten guy from this draft class. And I'm going to continue bringing that up and saying it because, you know, Sauce Gardner, 4th overall pick, is getting a ton of recognition, as he should. He's a very, very good prospect and is probably going to be a very, very good player at the next level. The Jermaine Johnson trade up and getting an edge rusher is going to be one that's talked about a ton because the Jets have ignored that position for, well, pretty much a decade. So that's getting a ton of love, and rightfully so. Breece Hall is one of the favorites for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I believe Kenny Pickett and George Pickens are high up there now too, and probably in front of him in terms of, you know, the odds for Offensive Rookie of the Year. But a lot of people are saying that this guy is going to be good right away and has a chance to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, which those things are just unheard of for this Jets team who hasn't put up good numbers on offense in a very, very long time. And it's like, oh yeah, they also have this guy, Garrett Wilson, who most people said was the best wide receiver in the draft, and they got him 10th overall. Well, he's starting to show why he's the 10th overall pick. And what I like the route running you knew was going to be there, the speed you knew was going to be there, but he's been more impressive to me on the contested catches than I thought he was going to be. Obviously, when you think of this team, at least contested catches, Corey Davis and Denzel Mims stick out a little bit, those guys, because they're a little bit bigger body receivers. seem to like fit that mold. But Wilson has all the intangibles to make him, I think, at least a wide receiver one. And maybe, again, I think Elijah probably gets him in yards and the numbers, but he's going to flash. And earlier, I think it was yesterday, Jake Asman, who I'm sure you all watch, had a video where he was talking about both of these guys. And, you know, a lot of people are talking about the dynamic duo of Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore. He was saying, when was the last time the Jets had a wide receiver group like this? And it got me thinking. Obviously, the first one that came to mind is Decker and Marshall in 2015, but both those guys are veterans, and both those guys, one was signed as a free agent, the other one was a trade. When was the last time they had two guys that they drafted at this level, right? And produced to what we think these guys can do as a duo? You have to go back to like probably Keyshawn Johnson and Wayne Chrebet as the real 1-2 punch. Maybe Lavernius Coles and Wayne Chrebet, because Santana Moss and Coles didn't overlap enough. Obviously, Coles ends up going to Washington for a little bit and then comes back, and then obviously Santana Moss gets sent over to Washington. So their time here was a little bit on the shorter side before Lavernius makes his way back here. But point of the story here, it's been a while since the Jets have had a legitimate 1-2 punch. And even like in 2010, when they had a nice group, Jericho Cotchery was homegrown. He was in the 2004 draft, I'm pretty sure. But Braylon Edwards was a trade. Santonio Holmes was a trade. And both those guys, obviously, you love. And they were huge parts of the success in 2009 and 2010. Obviously, Holmes was acquired before the 2010 season, so he wasn't there for 2009. But the Jets went out of their way to trade for Braylon Edwards in season to help their young quarterback. He was throwing it like Chancey Stuckey and Jericho Cotchery were his 1 and 2 wide receivers in 2009. It was crazy. It was very, very strange to see early on in that year. But moral of the story, when it comes down to Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, like with these two guys, I really do think they have a legitimate chance to be maybe like star sounds nice. Like I would love if both turned into stars. That would make things so easy for Zach Wilson, and like obviously so nice for the Jets here because they just don't have guys like that at the playmaker positions. But even if they're just a solid, steady 1-2 punch and both those guys can give you 800 to 1,100 yards, somewhere in that range per year, that's a home run. I mean, think about it. The Jets don't put up 1,000-yard receivers. Their streak of not having 1,000-yard receivers is insane. The last two to do it were Decker and Marshall in 2015. And then before that, when was the last time they had an 1,000-yard receiver? Jericho Cotchery in 2007? It's like, how? How could this possibly be? But every single year, it feels like wide receiver ends up being a weaker point of this team, whether it's injuries or just not having the depth or the personnel for it. And it feels like that is finally going away. Beyond just Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, who to me, I think are going to be the two dynamic receivers. You have Corey Davis, who a professional NFL receiver, solid. I know last year drops were an issue, but I think, you know, he's a steady player. Braxton Berrios, obviously Zach Wilson loves a lot and is a really good slot receiver and is going to have a role in this offense. Jeff Smith and Denzel have looked good at times during the training camp and preseason, so they have depth at this position. But at the top, man, Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson has the potential to be really scary. And it's something that I'm excited about, not just for this year, but down the line, because hopefully those two guys are, number one, healthy, and then number two, here for a very, very long time. So let me know what you think about those guys down in the comments below. Once again, I am Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new. Give the video a thumbs up. It really means a lot. Appreciate all the love and support. I'll talk to you next time.